Hello, Internet family. This is Anjanette Potter, and you are listening to Monday Afternoon Quarterback. So, I know I'm running a little late today as far as how soon I wanted to get on here. So, unless you've been under a rock, I'm pretty sure you know about the death of Kevin Samuels. Um, I'm going to say again, and I'm going to repeat again, I stand with the women who are indifferent to this man leaving. It's not so much that black women are celebrating. This man had nothing good to say about us when he was alive and left here in the company of a woman who was not black, which is his choice. Okay? Why be angry with us? Why be angry? And from what I'm hearing, women are being threatened. Why are you threatening women for refusing to keep being mammies and keep muling for men who keep showing us on a regular basis that they have no good things to say about us, that they have nothing good to offer us? Now I'm going to say this. I was too through because he would say stuff, it would wind up being viral, and that would be the stuff that we would hear. I didn't follow him because, as a general rule, I don't follow any person that I feel like has nothing good to say about about black women, and especially if the person is a black man. I remember the days of Tommy Sotomayor when he was constantly saying negative things about black women. And, it bothers me because, yeah, there are some bad black women in the world, but guess what? There are some bad white ones. There is some negative whatever. And most of the negative stuff that gets aimed at black women is due to unfair racial stereotyping, which is one of the reasons why I don't really fool too much with the Divest crowd. I listen to some of their stuff, and I'm like, to me, I just think a lot of it is a trick of the enemy to get black women and black men against each other. I also think that it is a lie of the enemy to do even worse things to women. He was a big contributor to the black portion of what is called the manosphere. So the manosphere, as I explained before, is a group of entities that have sprouted out of the men's rights movement. Even with what I'm hearing about the whole Amber Heard thing, the stuff that I'm seeing, the petition and all of that, there is starting to have the stench of men's rights. Attached to it. The people who are saying, well, drive her out of Hollywood, make her lose stuff. He said his own self that he would not be returning to the role of Captain Jack, whatever, in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which I think the last movie was supposed to be the latest one in the franchise. Now, let me say this. As an actor, I have enjoyed his work over the decades and everything. So I don't wish him no harm or anything. But I'm seeing that some of the stuff that I'm seeing here lately has the work of the manosphere on it. And the bad thing is, the manosphere, seems to support a lot of violent behavior toward women. Now, I personally think their case is a case of being mutually toxic. I don't believe that he was, Casper milquetoast the whole entire time. It seemed like a major contributor to a lot of the incidents that they had was the use of drugs and alcohol by both parties. And if you've ever been around people who have a lot of drug-fueled fights, you recognize that there's always a lot of mutual combat. And it's usually one party doing really, really spiteful things to get at the other party and saying really, really hurtful things to the other party. It's really just a very bad place to be in a relationship. My wish is that these two will never, ever, ever reunite. Ever. Not even for a booty call, like just don't even go there. Which, from what I'm hearing, I don't think that's a possibility anyway. So anyway, over the weekend, I didn't get a chance to see The Man Who Fell from Earth. I'm going to have to watch the other episodes over the week. But I did get some work done. I posted quite a few blog posts over the weekend. So one pleasant surprise that is supposed to happen this weekend, this coming Saturday, is Cypress Hill and Onyx are going to be the next verses. So if you don't know, both of them are groups that made their appearance in the late 80s, early 90s. The first time I heard Cypress Hill was on the Juice soundtrack. And I was like, okay, well, who is this? And you know, they're one of those groups that gets what I call gooder and gooder, you know, gotten better with age. Onyx, I remember the one member being on Moesha, playing one of, I call them the Moesha cuties, because just like they had the Seinfeld cuties where, you know, he had a host of actresses that were well known before they made an appearance on Seinfeld, but they also became even better known. And so the same went for a lot of the shows like Moesha and Sister, the twins, Tia and Tamara Mowry. A host of, if you watch any of the reruns, you see a lot of famous Black faces that have rolled through there and played their boyfriends or love interests. So with Brandy's Moesha, one of the guys from Onyx, I think it might have been Fredo Starr, played her love interest. I could get that wrong. Don't hold me to this because I'm a little tired. I was up pretty late last night. So, but I will be doing a live broadcast Friday night at midnight to celebrate the artists that are going to be in this week's verses. I'm also going to do a little bit of a dedication to an artist named Jewel. I listened to some of Jewel's stuff. She was kind of heralded as being, I'm going to give a little more background when I'm doing the show, of course, but she was heralded as being the first lady of Death Row Records. So I'm have to do a little bit more digging, and she's not to be confused with Lilith Fair artist and country Lilith Fair / country artist Jewel, who is white. This lady is Black. Not to be confused with that Jewel. This is a whole different person. So she passed over the weekend. So, as I said before, show her people some love. If you follow her on social media, if you follow any of her family members or anybody that she's close to, or anybody of the Death Row family that's close to her, do what you can to show them some love, give them some encouragement, let them know how much their people meant to you. How much her music meant to you, how much her gift meant to you. People, like I said before, when someone is famous like that and they're pouring out, a lot of times You're you're talking about someone who has made a lot of sacrifices to be able to do that platform. So we always want to celebrate them. With the whole Kevin Samuels, in defense of myself, I didn't tell anybody. It's not like any of the black content directors told anybody to dance on his grave or anything like that. I always think when I listen to men, especially when I listen to black men talk about black women, I'm like, some men act like all women do is sit around manufacturing ways to, let's see if this will finally destroy the black family. Let's see what we can do to bring more harm to the black community and do more junk to make all of us look bad, to make all of us look like, crap. Let's see what we can do to mess up men's lives, because that's all we have time to do. And, when I think about the stuff that I have been through in recent years, especially the church related stuff, I have been harassed by a former church. Okay? All because they couldn't use me for sex when I was there. Okay? And I always think it's interesting when men are always, I always think it's interesting when men always are so concerned about women ruining their lives and women doing stuff to mess up their goals and mess up and harm them professionally. But these same men don't think anything of closing doors on you. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the women who have had doors closed because they didn't want to participate or play ball sexually. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the women who have had their lives ruined because they didn't want to play ball. I always think it's interesting when men want to sit over here and talk all that mess. Well, she's mad because of whatever she didn't get. Well, guess what? You do the same nonsense. Y'all do the same nonsense. As a matter of fact, you invented it. That's what I find so interesting. You pretty much invented ruining women's lives because of them not wanting to sleep with you or cooperate sexually. You put women out there and call us difficult. Okay, label us as difficult. You do all of the same things that you swear up and down women are trying to do to you. I posted a quote here recently, and it's a quote of my own. And I said, women who have goals and dreams and things that they want for their life and vision are kryptonite for dusty men. So as far as I'm concerned, Kevin Samuels was just another man who needed a good code of pledge, like his followers. And I will tell you the one thing that really got on my nerves, that really laid me out with this man, is when he told mothers not to believe their daughters if their daughters accused their husbands of molesting them. He also had a post I saw recently where he talked about the color purpling of the black community. In other words, all these black women swearing up and down they've been abused, and he didn't know no black women who had been abused. I'm like, I grew up with, my mother had 7 of the best black men that I could ever have grown up with. And I still knew what domestic violence looked like. So Kevin Samuels was lying. I only know of one person, blah, 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 blah. That's a lie. Especially since most of the, how were you divorced twice and you don't know, like, no, don't, especially with the language that he used to use toward women. So no, and we don't know the details of them 2 divorces. Okay? And so, like I said, we're not even trying to hear that. So this month, I've decided that I'm going to do 31 days of motherhood and mental illness, or motherhood and mental health. Because whether people know it or not, and I'm not just talking about hormonal things like post-traumatic stress. I'm also talking about motherhood. People don't realize parenthood takes a tremendous toll on your mental health. There are different times and different seasons to parenthood, but especially motherhood. Like, we go through things hormonally for certain, but we also go through things when our kids are grown, as our kids grow, as our kids are grown. I'm at that stage. I'm what they would call an empty nester. Both my children are grown, and both of them no longer live with me. My daughter currently lives with the father of my grandbaby, the best G baby ever. And my son currently lives out of the state. So it's interesting what you go through, because I miss both of them. I miss both of them. I miss having, also the funny thing is you're on the fence, because while you miss having them under the roof, you also enjoy your freedom. I'm not going to lie and say that I don't enjoy the freedom that I have, being able to go to concerts, being able to blog about it, starting up the new internet ministry, starting up the additional 7 blogs, being able to devote my time to being able to go into ministry while at this stage. I don't know that I would be able to devote this much time to this if they were still small and still under the roof. Or I'd be able to do it, but I'd have to find other ways to be able to incorporate motherhood with them. So, while you have the freedom to be able to it's almost like my 20s revisited, but only with achy joints, gray hair, menopause, and everything that you go through at this stage, and hot flashes. But, like I tell them both, they were both fun children to raise. I'm also going to, Friday, I will be, I'm trying to get back on track on teaching on salvation, because there is a lot of very false teachings going around. That's one of the reasons why I created Qualified by Christ, because many people seem to think that there are a lot of churches out here who seem to have the wrong idea about supernatural authority. Supernatural authority, there are different kinds, but the most important supernatural authority is the authority you have because of the name of Christ. So Jesus said himself that in the world that we would have troubles, but to be of good cheer because he has overcome the world. And so we have to remember that we are overcomers. We're not survivors. I'm so tired of people inventing arguments over the word survival. We're not survivors. We are overcomers. The word of God says that we are overcomers based on the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So we have to remember that whatever sickness, poverty, all of the different things that we go through, abuse, spiritual abuse, that we have the ability to overcome anything that the devil brings our way. We have to remember that, a lot of this stuff, like the manosphere, I'm really sure that the manosphere is invented by the devil. I really do. I don't believe that God is telling men to do some of the things that men are doing to us. I'm also going to talk about this whole Roe v. Wade thing, because my thought is, as a born-again Christian, No, I do not support abortion because, I do believe that every child deserves a right to live, but I also do believe in women being able to plan and space out children. I think you have a right. I don't, even though I don't believe in terminating a pregnancy, I do believe in being able to prevent a pregnancy. I do believe in the right to be on birth control. I do believe in the right to use family planning to space out your children. Much of the reason why we have the birth control movement is simply because so many women died in childbirth. The whole people having 20 kids in large families, a lot of it goes back to the days of men and their marital rights in the bedroom. So I have a different take on the whole issue than a lot of born again believers, because I also look at it through a feminist lens. If you have rights at all in this country that had to be obtained through a picket sign, if you had to march for any of your rights, we really need to pay, and the Black community definitely, we need to pay attention when to this whole Roe v. Wade thing, because it can be the turning back of the clock on any other rights we have. My concern is there are people that I feel like that are twisted enough to think that that their problems go all the way back to women being able to vote. So we have to remember, even if it's not a belief that you currently have, you have to think about the long run. You have to think about the big picture. Is this a rolling back of the clock? Is this a rolling back of the clock? Is this a rolling back of the clock to mess around with women's rights? Okay. Is this a rolling back of the clock because of that? So we have to really think about that. And I will be doing several podcasts this week to discuss that. I'm not going to stay on here long because I have some things that I need to do around here to kind of prepare me, trying to get back on my schedule. I decided I finally cleaned up my apartment. As much as I'm not trying to announce all my business on the internet, but it's more or less like I had to get it together because I needed the spiritual release that comes with the feng shui of straightening up, and the whole thing of not wanting to slide back. So I have things that I need to get done around here, and as far as organization goes, I have things that I'm believing God for as far as my offices here. I had somebody say, kind of try to make fun and say, well, you're just a bedroom DJ. Well, that's cool. I don't, I have a spare bedroom that I'm going to turn into an office. So that's all right with me. As long as whoever's listening is enjoying what I'm doing, I don't really care where I do it from. So, the word of God says, despise not the day of small beginnings. We all got to start from somewhere. So don't let anybody shame you about how you start anything. Don't let anybody make you despise how you start. It's how you finish. And trust me, when I think about this whole Kevin Samuels thing, when I think about the recent deaths period of anybody, good and bad, there's a reason why you hear people singing the praises of a Naomi Judd and different other people, and you have people that are different when it comes to Kevin Samuels, when it comes to the young man who was murdered. Okay, how you spend your life says a lot, and how you make the people around you feel says a lot. This is why you have to be careful how you make the people around you feel. Everyone around you. Okay, too many people want to have selective good-heartedness. You want to be good to, and especially I see with a lot of men, you want to be good to the women that you find attractive. You want to compartmentalize women. And then when not everybody is singing your praises, first of all, Kevin Samuels is not even really here anymore to face down any of his accusers or any of the women that he alienated. He's gone on to his reward. The people who now have to hear about his offenses are the people who are in the land of living, his children, his ex-wives, his mother, and different other people, his followers. So how you invest says a lot. Invest in doing right by people. You will never ever reap a bad reward by doing right by people. You really won't. It may seem like it, that is just a trick of the devil to try to get you to stop. But try to always, I think about, I'm connected to quite a few people that I watched grow up. And I've been called everything. I've been called the cool cousin. I've been called all kind of things, and none of them negative. So when people, when people have good memories of you and can say you were the cool cousin, you always got us all together, you always made sure that nobody felt left out and different other stuff like that, that makes me feel good. Okay? I don't ever want to have that legacy of, people feeling indifferent, like, Okay? You don't ever want that feeling. I watched some footage not too long ago, and I think it was Saddam Hussein, his hanging, and the number of people who cheered. Now, people think that, these men are coming for these black women. Leave them black women alone. Okay? Some of y'all men have some very toxic attitudes toward women. You have some toxic belief systems, and some of y'all's belief systems and pastors aren't doing you a bit of good. Some of you pastors really need to get your attitude together. You are teaching men to disrespect the other half of our community, and it sucks. The fact that this man had 1 million and some followers says a lot about the black men who followed him and women. Every time I see a one-on-one counseling that he did, I have never seen a one-on-one counseling with him and a black woman that came out positive except for Nicki Minaj. And that was probably because she was famous. So you guys have a good one. I'm gonna talk to some of you over the internet, and I will talk to the rest of you this Friday at noon. So you have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your week. Don't let anybody hinder you. We thank you that you're going to have that we all going to have a productive week. That it's going to go really, really well. That those of us like myself, we're gonna be productive. We're gonna get the things that we need to get done to get our messages out there. We want to be good at what we do. We want to be a blessing. The Word of God says that we are blessed to be a blessing. In Jesus' name, I love all of you, and I'll be seeing you over the airwaves.